The morning after signing one of America's strictest abortion laws, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis presented himself to thousands of evangelical college students as an advocate of truth, common sense, and morality. "Yes, the truth will set you free," said DeSantis, invoking the words of Jesus Christ. "As the woke represent a war against the truth, we must wage a war against the woke," he continued, referring to the term that, literally translated as awakened, is used in his country to describe those who are alert, aware of prejudice and discrimination in society, often in a pejorative way. DeSantis spoke Friday to about 10,000 students from Liberty University's vocational service. The institution claims that the event, which takes place twice a week, is the world's largest gathering of Christian students. The politician was introduced by Pastor Jonathan Falwell, the university's newly appointed dean. His mention of the fact that DeSantis had ratified a law banning abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy in Florida was followed by a round of applause from the audience. DeSantis did not explicitly mention the legislation. He opened his speech with a personal account, thanking the audience for their prayers following his wife's cancer diagnosis in 2021. "Prayers were answered," he said. Then he went on to publicize the actions he has taken in Florida on several fronts, including new restrictions on gender-affirming medical treatments. "We choose facts over fear, we choose education over indoctrination, we choose law and order over riots and disorder," said DeSantis. "We don't back down." The visit was part of DeSantis' nationwide tour of conservative centers of influence as he builds momentum for his long-awaited entry into the 2024 presidential campaign. More than that, it was a crucial opportunity to assess, and perhaps promote, its relationship with evangelical Christians, an electoral bloc that helped elevate Donald Trump to the presidency and appears to be open to new candidates. Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, has long been a stopover for Republican politicians and conservative celebrities eager to sway campus students. It was there that Republican Senator Ted Cruz of Texas announced his candidacy in 2015. It was also there that Trump introduced himself to a wider evangelical audience, declaring himself a supporter of a Christianity under attack, and his famous reference to 2 Corinthians, in an unsuccessful attempt to speak the same language as his hearers, who corrected him. Christians refer to the passage as 2 Corinthians. Ultimately, Trump didn't need to talk evangelically to win them over. He won an even larger share of the white evangelical vote in 2020 than he did in 2016. While some evangelical leaders have signaled they would consider supporting another Republican candidate, many remain loyal to Trump and have so far shown little sign of abandoning him over his recent court indictment. For DeSantis, the question is whether he can loosen this extraordinary bond. Jesse Hughes, a freshman at Liberty, looked forward to hearing DeSantis offer a more intimate account of how faith influenced his approach to government and helped him face challenges like his wife's cancer diagnosis. Instead, he claims he mostly heard material he already knew from other DeSantis speeches. Still, he says he is impressed by the politician's record in Florida, including his approaches to abortion and education legislation and how willing he is to take bold stands and not cave in to media pressure. Under DeSantis, the state banned discussion of sexual orientation and gender identity in some elementary grades. Hughes, 21, read DeSantis's newly published memoir, The Courage to Be Free, but says he found little to help him understand the spiritual life of the potential presidential candidate. There are references to his faith, but he doesn't go into much detail about anything. Hughes describes the allegations against Trump in court as political persecution. But he also says many of his colleagues are ready to leave the former president behind. Hughes is president of the College Republicans Club on campus, which is conducting a small informal survey of student primary preferences. Hours before the close of the election on Friday, DeSantis had 53% of the vote, against 31% for Trump. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley had 13%. What I see is a clear interest in DeSantis, but not a rejection of Trump among white evangelicals, analyzes Kristen Kobes du Mez, a historian at Calvin University in Michigan, an evangelical institution, and author of Jesus and John Wayne. Du Mez sees DeSantis making a similar appeal to that made by Trump to conservative evangelicals, positioning himself as a culture warrior who is protecting vulnerable Christians. She argues that the Florida governor can appeal to voters who are attracted to Trump but are exhausted by the chaos surrounding him, or still doubt his chances of winning a presidential election again. But the two Republicans are far from equivalent. What you gain in terms of stability by choosing DeSantis, you lose in terms of charisma, says du Mez. According to her, most conservative evangelicals at this early stage seem genuinely open to either major candidate. Among voters, at least, it's friendly competition. DeSantis was raised in a Catholic family in Florida. As a child, it was non-negotiable that I would take my ass to church every Sunday morning, he wrote in his memoir. He has an aunt who is a nun and an uncle who is a priest, both in Ohio. None of them would comment on their nephew's religious upbringing. So far, he has made mention of his personal faith rather cautiously, positioning himself as an advocate for God-fearing people. In speeches, he often refers to putting on the whole armor of God, a biblical reference, telling audiences to stand firm against the schemes of the left. He ended his Liberty speech with another biblical reference, telling the audience that he would fight the good fight, finish the race and keep the faith, paraphrasing the Apostle Paul in the second epistle to Timothy.